Oops, I forgot to dissolve, Charles. But we're going to be talking about Barfie today. We have this huge inflatable. You want to stop and go in there?
Yeah. I actually spent most of the morning in there before I saw you. I helped this lady clean her stuff.
I don't know what's going on with that, but
well, we could play some ping pong.
I don't really often see people enjoying the ping pong here.
Next to the sewage?
Yeah, it stinks. All of these shops have gone out, not just Game Stonk.
Right.
This thing, whatever, Pandora.
Cheap jewelry.
Yep, it's all...
Well, this used to be the Gap. Yeah, it used to be the Gap.
It says Galaxy Open Market.
That's the new name of it, but it used to be the Gap.
Wow, what is Galaxy Open Market? It looks like phones or something. Yeah, that's some new flip phone.
Yeah.
So wow, look at that. It becomes a phone store.
Join the flip side.
Yeah, that's the new thing. These bendable OLED monitors, screens, whatever. But so Charles, Barfie, we got today in the image, Dumb Joe.
Peeing in his pants, Dumb Joe peeing.
I wasn't able to depict that, but what we've got is Dumb Joe inside the Barfie Dream Corvette, and he's mishandling classified documents. He's throwing them out the back.
He is so done.
Well, Trump rightly raises the point of why are they so concerned with documents at his location, but yet it seems like there's been no investigation at all of the documents that Joe Biden had hidden in the Corvette and stored at that place that you and I visited. Trump has spoken about something going on in Chinatown. What is going on? It's becoming so obvious that they're just not investigating anybody named Biden.
Right. Well, it's thanks for bringing that up. I mean, the contrast is stunning. And remember, I told you that one of the ways I identify under and overvalued securities is through seeing contrast. And if you think about, if you contrast the investigations in quotes of Hillary Clinton, which took forever and failed to see obvious information. I have personal knowledge that the FBI reviewed my work from 15, 16, 17 and was interested in talking to me in theory in the Little Rock office.
Just not about the evidence.
Well, no, I mean, a former U.S. attorney who shall remain nameless, but is a very credible guy, spent 2 days going over my work at his house.
Oh, I thought you meant when they came to talk to you at the Roosevelt Hotel.
No, before that. And so they had a chance in 17, 18, whatever that was, to dive in and bust open the Clinton Foundation stuff. They had a chance to do it back in 16 when the senior State Department spokesman went in and said, hey, Dopey, there's a problem here. Let's go into a skiff.
Yeah.
Right? And so maybe we go right. And so in that case, and then in the case where Dopey and Mueller, Comey and...
Look at this, Charles.
What?
We have to join the Space Invaders World Defense. Sorry, Comey did what?
When Comey was put in charge of an investigation that was launched in February 2001 into the Clinton Foundation that spent 4+ years looking at the Clinton Foundation and failed to see obvious fraud. I mean, obvious fraud. And Mueller was briefed on it in July of 2002. There's a lot of evidence in the FBI vault file on this. So you look at these two examples.
We start referring to it as blocking fraud, not failing to observe it, because they obviously saw
protecting it. Protecting these guys. And so 4 years of that, 7 years of the Clinton Foundation, from 2016 forward, they don't see any problems. But when there's cocaine in the White House, it takes them 2 weeks to say, "Oh, we'll never solve this problem."
No one knows.
Or
that was Bigfoot's cocaine.
You look at Hunter Biden and his various problems, months and months, years and years, and the way that gets resolved is we'll wait till the statute of limitations are passed. We'll then try to jink this defective agreement through, hope that nobody notices how defective and off-market it is. And in the case of Trump, Biden has had, contrast Biden and Trump, and there were some great remarks at the Trump rally in Erie yesterday.
Yeah.
It went on and on and on. It was fantastic. Trump was back to
2 hours he was talking.
old Trump. I mean, he was on his game. He was hilarious. He was making great points. He was just beating the crap out of the Democrats, the Bidens, and the Rhinos. But Joe Biden has, as the article I referred to the last time we were together, did appear on Wednesday, and got picked up by Rantingly, Lucianne,
Oh yeah.
and Zero Hedge. Got a fair amount of traffic. It's just obvious to somebody like me, who's looking at publicly available information only. I'm not the IRS, I'm not the FBI, I'm not the Department of Justice. Is that helicopter after you?
Not me, but let's remind people what that article touched on, Charles, because not everybody got to see it. And it is an incredibly bright line that you, as you're saying, don't need to be the FBI. You don't need to have subpoena power.
Right.
You don't need to get bank records. You can look at this public information. Joe Biden's income went from $300,000 to $9 million in 1 year.
Right, from 16 when he was vice president to 17 when he was out of office. And for somebody who has a demonstrated track record of making money, whether it's investing well,
Maybe that could happen.
highly unlikely that
Yes.
for 16 years you'd average 250.
Yeah.
And then in 1 year,
Shoot up.
when the rest of the economy, American economy, the top 10% of all households suffered an 8% average decline in their income, and you go up 28 times, it would strike me that that's the kind of thing that the IRS, with or without 87,000 new agents, would say, now hang on, this is rather anomalous. How did he do this?
Well, Nancy Pelosi was his stockbroker.
Right, or
Totally legitimate.
Hillary Clinton and the Clintons was,
Commodities traders.
were his guides. But
Yeah.
I mean, the point here is that it's not. This isn't like incredibly tough sleuthing. I mean, I thought about it in context, and I said it's time for another article. It took me about 2 hours to finish it.
Amazing.
And well, it's not that amazing because the information's right there. And then where there's going to be sequels coming out on that. And I haven't actually finished writing them yet, but the trap that is laid here is that we do know from these IRS whistleblowers that there were investigations into Hunter Biden. We know that. We know
Ongoing.
Huh?
Ongoing, we know, from the plea deal falling apart.
Right. But and so that's narrowly on Hunter Biden. We also know, according to the IRS whistleblowers, whose testimony the Democrats tried to put in the trash can and burn, that the IRS agents, both the line and the supervisory agent, wanted to follow that evidence where it might lead. So we don't yet know the timeline of that. We don't know when the requests were made. We don't know when these people were charged up. But this is the kind of thing that we have to know now.
Yeah.
And with Trump, you could say what you want about his past business dealings. You can attack for-profit business all you want. And I might be with you that some for-profit business is incredibly sleazy. I'm the one who took on GE as an example.
Yeah.
Which is a very big sleazy company that has yet to go bankrupt and should. But with the executives going to jail and the trustees, board of directors going to jail, many of them. But
Dig up Jack Welch and put him in jail.
yeah, exactly. But the point here is that for the uninitiated, for people who've fallen for the garbage that's been sold to us by the mainstream press, and I count myself among them. I would read years ago, decades ago, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal.
I think it was true.
And I would not really question fundamental assumptions when they said the economy's growing. It's okay.
Something bad about to happen.
But what?
Well, this guy is oogling that girl like she is a duck he's about to shoot.
Let's keep going.
She has no idea.
He's not going to get away.
He's up to
Smoke it.
something, that guy.
Yeah.
He's a predator.
But so I fell for this garbage that increase in GDP means the economy's doing well. GDP is a cooked number. A lot of the narratives on whether the economy is doing well or poorly are total bullshit.
Fake.
And then when you get to this question of all the people swanning around the vast not-profit sector, who brag to you, well, I don't work for a business, I'm in nonprofit land. Nonprofit land, in my view, much as I don't want to see 87,000 new IRS agents. If you told me that those 87,000 new IRS agents were going to target the not tax-exempt organizations only, I'd be all in. All in. In particular, because I think one grievous assault on America has been the degree to which educational institutions pretend that they're nonpartisan to remain tax exempt, but instead spew out Marxist pukes.
Yeah.
And have really, I think, eviscerated the educational system. There was some story, and I know this is just, anecdotal, but LeBron James, I think, contributed
Dresses.
Well, he contributed money. Here's a nice co-op.
Well, there's a lot of these around. We just
I think
saw
there's
another
some-
one over there.
Well, we'll walk up.
Sure.
Yeah, there's a nice co-op here. Yeah, there's somebody in there.
Whoa.
So he has contributed money to help some school in some city in the Midwest, and that school goes up to 8th grade. Another person in there, probably another person in here.
Yes, definitely.
And that school has had no graduates pass the 8th grade math level in the last 3 years. Not a single
What
person.
school is that?
Some high public school that he supports. I mean, come on. If you can't pass 8th grade math, nobody
wrong.
can pass 8th grade math. You're shot, as Trump would say.
Well, it's a teacher problem at that point.
I
There's
think
no
it's
way.
it's also a household problem. I think you're probably hooked on your phone. You're watching TV. You've got your headphones
More
in.
interested in crime,
Yeah, you're chasing. Your puberty's going.
riding bikes and selling weed in the park. Why do
Right.
I need school?
But those guys understand arithmetic. I mean, the guy's selling weed, I hope.
In increments, maybe. They're good at fractions,
Yeah,
eighths and quarters. But
exactly.
if you can add 50,
50.
yeah. 2 is 100, 3 is
Spelling not so
150.
good. But,
Right.
Math, they got it. Anyway,
Well, we're going to have a full, in-depth conversation in the First Amendment forum about Barfie and about what's going on with Jack Smith and Trump and this rally in Pennsylvania. We're also going to go to the location where the FBI questioned you at the Roosevelt Hotel.
It's
So
doing
we're
well
pointing
now.
out those boxes. Well, one of the things that we did not see was the guy behind the boxes.
he was probably
Some radio
he
stuff
was
here.
probably participating in the Joe Biden commission on something or other.
Well, what I'm getting at is he looked younger and with newer clothing than most of the homeless people I have traditionally seen. Oh, this might be part of the problem. Around New York City as homeless people.
So this here on the right used to be Morgan's Hotel, which was one of the first boutique hotels.
Yep.
I don't know if it's back in business now or not. It seems like.
Well, they had a bar in there called the Morgan that appears to be gone.
Right.
Straw hats shouldn't be worn past September 15th, according to a once.
Yeah, what about
unofficial rule.
seersucker suits?
It didn't speak about that. Wow, so here's Serafina. This
Right.
is new.
I'm good.
Yeah, this used to be a hotel here in this building.
Hey guys, when did this open? How long has this been here?
Like
7 months?
Good luck.
So Serafina's really opening a lot of places.
They must not be paying their taxes.
Why do you say that?
I'm just saying, restaurants have a hard time paying taxes sometimes.
They take a lot of cash.
Cash business, exactly.
Yeah. Well,
Now, generally speaking, on a Sunday, this part of town is desolate. So it's not.
well, in the summertime, I think a lot of people are going to the beach, and it's also not oppressively hot today.
You know, it's cool. They hightail it out of here. That said, what is unusual is still the vacant space.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to make an argument that Bidenomics is working,
Maybe for
you
China.
probably have to ignore the motto of the economic campaign, which is crack is not whack. I mean, it's just, we're smoking some serious crack to say that Bidenomics is working. Looking anywhere, but particularly here.
Charles, the other thing I'm going to want to ask you about during the First Amendment Forum is, I know you're not a bookmaker, but people are concerned about the odds of a potential Devon Archer suicide between today and tomorrow, where he's supposed to testify. We don't want anything to happen to Devon Archer, but...
You think he's going paddleboarding?
Exactly. We also should talk about Obama having bandages on his fingers and apparently having a black eye.
Those were pretty serious. I looked at that picture, and you know me, I'm not a medical person or an expert on pictures, but it sure looked to me not only as if his hand, and he's a lefty, and I forget which hand was hurt, but it sure looked to me that the fingers were badly swollen, but more importantly, right up here was swollen.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
But Brian Krasenstein has been busily posting, counter information to try to, say this is a conspiracy theory. And so he's got a lot of other pictures of Obama wearing bandages on his fingers when he's playing golf. Maybe he gets blisters from the golf club or something. They also showed Tiger Woods has some bandages. But that doesn't explain the black eye. That doesn't explain the changing story of we're home, we're not home. Also, Joel Gilbert, he obtained some kind of report from the police dispatch 911 where it says like the address, the time of the call, and what was happening. And it's like 2-page report. The only one that doesn't explain in the description what was happening is the one to Obama's address.
Yeah.
So that's got nothing to do with golf and Band-Aids. What the hell's going on with that?
I don't know.
Pretty weird, Charles. Don't go paddleboarding with Obama.
Well, I believe there was the Clintons lost to Chef as well.
To paddleboarding?
Not to paddleboarding, to death.
Right. This guy paddleboarded to death.
Well, I don't know if it was the paddleboarding.
It's the water that gets you.
Well, or even that. I mean, there's some suggestion that there was trauma beforehand.
Well, we got to find out
and
about that.
And then it's tough to breathe when you've been knocked on the head and thrown in the water.
That's true. Wow. I just can't imagine that Obama would do the dirty deed himself. I mean, doesn't he have...
I doubt it. But it's just very... The whole thing is suspicious. I mean, the fact that he has the community organizer has more mansions than most very wealthy people do. And forget paying for them, which is expensive. How does he maintain them? How does he earn enough money legitimately and reliably?
I thought he got $65 million for the book.
Well, that's episodic income. I mean, how do you have enough money in the bank to make sure that you can pay the cook and you can pay the
Netflix?
But that's episodic as well. Here today, gone tomorrow. I mean, what kind of viewership is he getting on his Netflix stuff?
No, I think he's on the board or something. These guys have got to be paying him tons of dough.
Again, that's pre-tax income, and maintenance is after-tax expense, and it's not cheap to keep one of those. Well, I think it's 20 or 40 acre properties on salt water with a big lawn and landscaping and fancy building. Keep that intact, clean.
Maybe Sasha and Malia are better at keeping control of their laptops than Hunter.
Bozo the Clown is better.
But, I mean, I'm just joking, of course. We really haven't seen any kind of indication that Obama's not a good father. A lot of people speculate a lot of things, but wherever those kids came from, he seems to be nice to them and not using them as like drug mules or bag men or bag women.
To nitpick just a little bit, if somebody came along to me, and I doubt it was Michelle, if Obama says, "Hey, I got a great idea, Barack. Why doesn't one of our daughters intern with Harvey Weinstein?"
Oh yeah, that was weird.
I mean, that's like, what?
Yeah, that was weird.
Because she can't work at like the Pink Pussycat Lounge. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Well, one of the interesting things about this Andrew Tate, Candace Owen interview is that he gets into all of that, talking about pornography and society and all that, how he thinks about his own actions as he's aging. I don't know, maybe people think he's a liar, but it was an interesting interview. He raises some points that caused me to wonder if he's not being targeted by an unequal application of justice in the way that Donald Trump is. And I mean, frankly, I can't say that Hunter Biden is a victim of unequal justice. He's more a beneficiary.
He's the poster boy.
Yeah. But it seems like there's a lot of that going on.
Well, and he's basically, I mean, he's a moron.
Hunter.
Right? I mean, so is his father.
But the issue with Tate and Candace Owens is that, they're two people who sort of organically rose to have influence, and it definitely seems like there is some sort of control mechanism where they don't want people to organically gain their own influence. They want to control who has influence, and if you gain influence and they don't control you, they want to stop that.
Right.
And that's why we see idiots like Rob Reiner. I mean, who alive today cares very much about Rob Reiner? When's the last time he made a movie or a TV show?
He wasn't even funny at all in The Family.
I mean, to be fair, Spinal Tap and Harry Met Sally, he is funny. He's a good director and has directed good movies, but he's a maniac on Twitter, supporting every idiotic thing, reveling in the criminal prosecution of Trump in the absence of evidence. Here's another good question, Charles. So this latest indictment, we've got Jack Smith saying that Trump told somebody to delete the CCTV server. Have you seen any evidence of that aside from Jack Smith's claim? Because that doesn't sound like something Trump would do. He knows they're all over him.
Yeah. Sounds like something Hillary would do.
Well, it sounds like something they're trying to do to say, like you've spoken about this Irish compromise idea. They know Hillary's got a destroying servers problem. If they can manufacture a false destroying servers problem for Trump,
right,
suddenly it becomes, you did this, we did this, let's forget the whole thing. But where is the email of Trump telling the guy to delete it, or the video, or the cell phone recording of him saying it?
He wouldn't have done that. And
It's
we'll get into
up.
Jack Smith in the First Amendment forum, but I mean, he is a despicable human being who should be ashamed of himself. He knows that he is a fierce partisan, and why you would be a fierce partisan when both parties are declining and the independents are ascending is beyond me. So he's a fierce partisan fighting for stupid and fighting for the wrong side, fighting against America.
We've reached a spot of some significance, Charles.
They're getting rid of him.
Well,
busting him out. Look, all these buses.
Yeah, that is quite interesting, isn't it? But this is the Roosevelt Hotel where the FBI had questioned you. Who owns this hotel? Do we know?
I don't. It's probably owned. Oh yeah, look, there's all kinds of police over here. But we'll walk by them without engaging. There's I think the story hit, and they probably said, "Get these motherfuckers out of here."
Right. Those look like fake police, but we won't bother them. Let's just take a look. So they're moving out. It's moving day.
Jefferson's moving on up.
That guy's a detective. Moving day? Moving day?
It would appear so if we just keep walking.
Yeah.
It would appear that they.
Where's everybody going? Shake his head no.
They're not going to.
This is all a bunch of people hiding their faces. We got a bunch of adult males hiding their faces. Do you know where the buses are going? Why not? It's the public. Why can't I record over here? I think you're telling me something incorrect.
What did she say?
She said a bunch of bullshit. She said you can't record over here. And that's not true. The cops are stupid, Charles. It's very disappointing. Anyway, we are at the break point where we're about to head into the First Amendment forum. This is a dangerous place to be hanging out. The cops don't know the law, and the criminals are being bussed out of this hotel to somewhere. I'm curious that the FBI met you there, and now all this is going on there. I wonder who controls that hotel. But we'll talk about it more, and we'll be back in just 5 minutes. Join us on odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth. crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com. and subscribestar.com and patreon.com/crowdsource the truth. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll be back in just a few minutes.